It's my great pleasure to sit here talking to the wonderful Julie Nathanson, who has been Maxis for a very long time. Hi, Julie. How are you today?
Hi, Craig. I'm well, thanks. How are you?
I'm great. I said very long time, but I don't mean very long time because it's gone by in an instant.
Well, also time moves differently, in the dark ether. So who knows anyway?
How long do you think we've been doing Samantha Maxis if we include our old version?
I feel like it was the moon map for the Resurrection DLC. So it's been since then. So it's over a decade.
Wow. I can't believe we're both nearly 30 now. We were
It's
so young when we
amazing.
did that.
We've both grown up with her.
Definitely. And, speaking of growing up with her, obviously, Samantha Maxis in this game is a very different Samantha Maxis to the kind of, I don't want to say demonic child, but, she certainly had her issues, shall we say. What was it like for you when you first came in to be adult Samantha?
Let's see if I can get through this without crying, Craig. The first session I had to come in as an adult Samantha Maxis, I did not know I was coming in to play an adult Samantha Maxis. All I knew was that I had a Samantha Maxis session and I was excited. I knew that the storyline had wrapped up, so I thought, oh, great, she's back. I wonder how. And that meant that I mean, Craig, I tend to sort of dress for the occasion. So I was sort of wearing my combat boots and like a little, like a girl dress and the things that I would do to sort of feel like my young Samantha. And I walked in and you said, guess what? She's an adult now. And I just about fell over. I was glad I had the combat boots on. I mean, obviously wardrobe is a really big part of this.
I think that's quite an important thing to pick up on, really. That was very appropriate that you were wearing those combat boots, because I think the biggest shift is that Maxis is much more in charge of her own destiny in Cold War. And do you think it's fair to say, I mean, she obviously kicked off the story by sending Weaver the end station videotape, but her independent streak and some of those audio logs explaining some of the things that she's been doing in the field, was that a fun transition?
All of it was a fun transition. Yeah. I mean, getting to explore Samantha's independent side, she has been through, as all zombie players know, she's been through a lot. And she's had many iterations of how she has had agency in her life or lack thereof. And now as adult Samantha in this new time and space, we get to see her explore what could happen, things that I never imagined I would get to do as Samantha Maxis. And I feel very close to her. I always have.
I think that's a really important one to pick up on, because particularly if you look back at Firebase C, that was the map where her desire to stay in the field, her independent streak, got her into a little bit of trouble, shall we say, particularly with Peck. Talk a little bit about what it was like doing these scenes, because I know, I remember, and you remember what I was like in those scenes, because it was a lot.
It was a lot.
Does it bother you not having any friends?
Friends are overrated. They can't pay the bills.
It was, I know it was hard on you, Craig, when Maxis was being tortured and thrown into the dark ether by Peck. It was hard on me. It's funny, like I can feel it as I'm talking about it. I really do feel close to her. And when she was going through that, I was going through it. Those scenes with Peck were painful, but I remember feeling determined as Sam to get through. And they were really tough. It's interesting, even just saying Peck, like I kind of want to spit the name.
I was working with him this morning.
Well, the actor is great. The actor is wonderful. He's incredibly talented. It's Peck himself.
I think, you know, to speak to those scenes, you know, it was very emotional for both of us. And I remember not wanting her to be in that situation. It was hard enough to write because she was being, I knew I wanted her to be defiant throughout the whole thing and not give in to Peck in any way. And she didn't, and it frustrated him. And that's why I threw her in the dark ether. They were some of the toughest scenes I'd written at that point. But then hearing them recorded, that was just, that was where it got too much for me. That was, well, you remember, because you sent me a message, and Amanda sent me a message. Amanda's our regular voice director, asking if I was okay, because I had to get up and leave the room because I was a bit too upset. But that's me.
You know, Craig, your passion and your connection and dedication to this character and this story is, I think, why it's possible for me to get to that place as a performer. The words, the story, everything this character is going through feels real to me because the writing is so clear and so passionate. And that's from you and your team. And it really is why. So when you have an emotional reaction, it makes sense to me because I know that's part and parcel to how this character has come to life.
That's very sweet of you to say. Yeah, we do have a wonderful team. You know, I'm lucky that these days I have writers that work alongside me. It used to be the case that I didn't have enough help, but yeah, we've really got a strong team right across the board. The work that's done on zombies, I think I've said a few times recently, you know, not in interviews as such, but just in conversation with people that I work with, I've never enjoyed playing our game as much. I'm frustrated that I've only found about, 40% of the intel, because I really want to hear those things that we did so long ago. And I mean, a really fun example is, I say fun, but that journey through the dark ether where Maxis was at her lowest ebb.
Yeah.
That also kind of was what spawned the song that we did, Lost, which, I do hope one day we'll get to perform it live, or our little demo that wasn't as ferocious as it became. I mean, the final mix of it was like way beyond anything I had imagined. And I think what you had imagined, I didn't set out to write something that would be that heavy in terms of guitars and strings and production. It began as a little piano thing. That was a fun experience for you, wasn't it? Because I know I knew you could sing. I knew you were a singer before I asked you to do that. How did that make you feel when that question came up?
Oh, I burst into tears. I fully burst into tears when I was invited to sing Lost, and knowing that you had written it again, inspired by her story and her journey. Every single word felt clear to me. I am lost, but I don't want you to find me.
I am losing myself, even if you don't know it. I'm losing my way. You should hope, maybe pray I don't show it.
And that has such depth for me, having played Maxis for so long.
To kind of jump off from that point, really, when Maxis got out of the dark ether and how other characters treated her, and that was kind of, I think, the first time that you'd got to play scenes with some of the supporting cast, like Strauss, and Carver, and Gray. They were fun, weren't they?
Well, yes, they were definitely fun, and fun is such a great word to talk about Maxis and her journey, because it's fun for me to interact at all, but for for Maxis, she had been alone in the dark ether. Some of the audio logs that, players may have found throughout that period of time, she was alone and really processing what the hell might be going on. And coming out to be able to talk to people, I think would have been more of a breath of fresh air, except there appeared to be a lot of suspicion. A lot of questions, some of which she was not able to answer. And interestingly, some of which I wouldn't be able to answer, which is part of our process, Greg.
Well, that's an interesting point, because we've talked about this many times. I don't spoil the story for people unless they really, really need to know where it's going. I've told you, I know where this arc for the entirety of Cold War is going to land, but I won't tell you because Maxis doesn't know where it's going to land. So there is a kind of logic that if characters are just experiencing things, and particularly after the trauma and, being sedated and scrutinized in that, kind of quarantine environment after she came out of the dark ether, there was one big bright spot that really lightened her life lately. Yeah. What was that?
Max has got a dog. I was so excited. Come on, it's time. It was time for her to have a dog. And it's like, she's going through so much, and Weaver comes in and in such a caring way wants to help her feel better. And here comes this giant Rottweiler, which is such a nice touch. And it was also really fun to say the line, not exactly fluffy.
I was wondering about that, because we've not officially named the dog. We definitely haven't. But last night I was thinking maybe it should just be not so fluffy.
Not so fluffy.
The fluffy is the surname, but not so is the first name. I don't know if we want to commit to that. That's not officially canon yet, and that's just me and Julie talking. But yeah, the dog, the introduction of the dog was really important, because we both love dogs. We both have our dogs. My dog's very old now. She did some very fine acting on those audio logs, because I recorded a lot of the dog sound effects to put into those audio logs, because I needed to ensure I get the right performance. I say no spoilers, but there are more doggy scenes coming up that we have already recorded that players will get to experience during season 4. Speaking of season 4, you kind of set a cat amongst the pigeons, shall we say, by the fact that you and Ravenoff led the players on a little bit of a quest and outbreak to destroy the reality inversion missiles, which you thought was entirely the right thing to do, but that's kind of got you in trouble again, isn't it?
Yeah, and I'd rather not blame her independent streak. She's, the idea is she's wanting to do the right thing. And yeah, a little bit of going behind Weaver's back and a little secret squirrel mission with Ravenoff and there's definitely setting some things in motion for the next chapter without spoiling anything. I think it'll pay off a little bit.
It's I think I was saying something in one of the behind the scenes videos recently where I was like, a lot of things are going to change in a major way. And I think people are still waiting for that change to come. It's definitely season 4, and things shall never be the same again, as they say. That was my bad trailer voice.
It wasn't bad. Can I have a B and a C? That was a great A take. Can I hear a B and a C?
Things will never be the same again.
Good. Okay.
In a world where Julie is directing Craig, he tries very hard to keep his low, growly voice going.
Okay, if you could try another one but not change the dialogue, that would be great.
I'm sorry. We always mess with dialogue. We do. I think we're getting close to needing to wrap up now, but can you talk a little bit about how excited you are for fans to experience the next round-based zombies map, Mauer der Toten?
I would say I am 25 out of 10 excited for fans to experience Mauer der Toten. A lot of things that have been set up along the way are going to start to move a little faster, pushing us into, I think, a new adventure for this story. You can tell how carefully I want to speak about this because I so don't want to spoil anything.
Exactly.
But there's a lot coming, and I can't wait for the players to experience it. It was pretty cool to experience myself. I'll just say that.
Julie, it's always a pleasure to work with you and to talk to you. I do consider you not only one of my favorite collaborators, but also a very, very good friend. Don't you dare start crying. Thank you so much for everything you've done over the years for this amazing experience.
Thank you. I stopped myself from crying. The feeling is mutual.